A lot of people might have a question about why bother learning mathematics in high school, especially students who decided to major in subjects that don't need anything more than basic arithmetics. As more and more influencers online accuse the broken educational system and their evil scheme of gatekeeping core information about wealth, entrepreneurship, and investment, learning trigonometry and quadratic equations seem pretty far away from setting up students on a successful path. While certainly it is true that I've never used the mathematics I learned in high school so far in my career except all of my teaching jobs, even when I was a biotechnology research assistant and a mechanical system estimator, I believe learning mathematics provides way more values than just definitions, theorems, and equations. But if it is so valuable, where do the values actually reside? To answer this question, let us explore how conceptually we come up with mathematics in the first place. Disclaimer: the following content and its layout does not intend to completely match the history. Please refer to more reliable sources for the detailed chronological order. Although no one knows for sure where our self-consciousness comes from, it provides us the first dichotomy, the concept of me and its counterpart not me. We usually call me as the mind, and not me as the world. The only connection between the mind and the world is when the mind receives signals from the world, whether it is light, sound, taste, smell, or touch. These signals would evoke feelings and corresponding emotions based on how the mind processes and interprets. However, as human beings, we tend to turn these feelings and emotions into words, either in spoken or written form. This process of verbal expression immensely compresses what has happened in the world and how the mind has received those signals. From using words to correspond nouns with objects and verbs with actions, to make up stories, legends, myths, and even religions. All these require the ability to abstract. For example, it is only because we can overlook the individual differences and focus on the commonalities between each of these objects, categorize them together, and assign a particular sound to them, then we have a concept of apple. Similarly, once we create a certain amount of nouns and verbs through abstracting objects and actions, we can construct sentences to describe scenarios that actually happened. Then by stripping away some individual details and focusing on the impressive elements of many scenarios, we get stories. From stories we get legends, from legends we get myths, and from myths we get religions. Thus, usually religions have an entity that is purely good and another entity that is completely evil. Some might develop a word that encapsulates the concept of the ultimate existence, such as Tao and Brahman. Nevertheless, extracting the whole world is not the end of abstraction. It is also possible to abstract our minds. As languages evolve, we notice that not only can we express feelings and emotions, we can also construct structured rational arguments to persuade others, either through inductive or deductive reasoning. In particular, deductive reasoning stands out from all of the other forms of language expression, because any of its argument must build upon a particular system of logic one chooses, such as propositional logic, modal logic, or intuitionistic logic. Then each of these systems of logic are further built on top of a bunch of symbols, which their usage are mostly common consensus across the whole human race, with certain differences in the details for each individual system. If you're familiar with computers and operating systems, those basic symbols are like the electronic components in a computer. The system of logic built on top is like the operating system installed, and the arguments are like the programs being executed. Similar to computers, that not all hardwares are compatible to all operating systems, and not all operating systems can handle all types of programs. Not all symbols are used in all systems of logic, and not all systems of logic can accept all types of arguments. I know this is a bit confusing, but basically this means, once we all agree on using the same set of symbols to represent certain words, and only follow the same set of rules for manipulating those symbols, we should be able to reach the exact same conclusion. For example, intuitionistic logic does not allow the law of double negation elimination, which is valid in classical logic. This implies a statement of "I'm not happy" means I'm happy in classical logic, but intuitionistic logic does not agree with this conclusion. As such, we not just abstracted the world, we also abstracted the mind, in a sense that we do not actually care about what we express in a logical or more generally formal system, but how we express it. With all these setups, We can now understand what kind of role does mathematics play in our daily life and where do the values actually reside. Because mathematics is just a formal system that builds upon a logical system with a collection of assumptions that we call them axioms, such as axiom of infinity and axiom of parset in Zermelo-Fraenkel set theory. In other words, the values of mathematics comes from the ultimate form of abstraction that strips away the fuzziness, ambiguity, and uncertainty in the world, our feelings, and even natural languages. It turns learning mathematics from merely applying equations and crunching numbers to a mental training of staying calm, judging slowly, and executing details. Mathematics is never about some genius intuition that immediately tells you the path to the solution. It is more about settling down one's emotions, whether it is nervousness, being intimidated, or getting scared, then slowly extracting information from the question, turning them into accurate mathematical expressions, and processing them step by step according to the rules in a detailed manner. If this still cannot convince you about the importance of mathematics, imagine being a business owner. You need to come up with a product or a service, handle customers, manage employees, persuade investors, monitor finances, set up logistics, and so much more. Under all of these overwhelming tasks, the key is to stay unfazed, gather information, categorize tasks, design protocols, and execute. Such qualities can be trained through learning how to solve mathematical problems in a controlled, i.e., academic environment, because that is exactly what mathematics does. It cuts through the mist of confusing reality and abstract languages into a well-defined systematic language that we can tackle step by step methodically. If you persist to watch until here, I believe you're either a genius who processes concepts super fast or someone who is patient enough to pause and ponder this chain of thoughts. Regardless, you already possess the quality to be good at mathematics, which might possibly mean that you do not really need this video in the first place. Nevertheless, there is no harm to have a video for someone who needs a convincing reason to continue studying mathematics to stumble upon. If you're one of them and find this video helpful, consider like and subscribe. More thoughts-provoking videos are on its way. That's it for this time. See you in the next one.